Hello.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hey,
Hi,
Sheree.
good morning, everyone.
Hi, Dan.
I just talked to Jim a couple of minutes ago. He said he'd be on shortly.
Okay.
Are you folks aware of the other energy storage system write-up that's happening in the power delivery main components work stream? I know that Ben is, because he and I are both on the contributor list that Tony Landry from Schneider started up.
I'm sorry, Josh. I had my volume turned down. Didn't catch all of what you said.
Yeah, no worries. So the power delivery main components work group has a work stream in it that includes an energy storage systems section in a new
Yeah,
paper that they're putting together.
right. Josh, we had this conversation before. I think the other group comes under DC,
Okay.
uh, right? Power distribution, and the idea was that they focus much more on this new DC 800 volts or plus or minus but overall architecture, and they focus on energy storage system, which is particular to that application.
Okay.
And yeah, we have received a mail that we need to kind of align ourselves at later stage. Yeah. So, but
Okay.
I think yeah, their main focus is on getting this architecture, DC architecture ready, and the ESS related to this DC architecture would be yeah under this group subgroup.
Gotcha. And whereas
Yeah.
here we're describing the current implementation, which is primarily around an AC architecture.
Right. So I believe right now we are just focusing on getting a white paper so
Yep.
that any kind of energy storage in general. So energy storage system could be anywhere, right? And
Copy.
to get if anybody has a ESS storage system in their facility, to have this as an OCP approved ESS storage facility, or yeah,
Gotcha.
kind of safety concerns and standards that really base work. But we are
Okay.
not jumped into detailed technical architecture or yeah,
Okay. That's very helpful distinction and description. Thank you.
yeah, sure. Okay. Dan, maybe we'll wait for Jim, or maybe we just have a short start of what has
Yep.
happened till now.
Yep. Um, let me. Okay, you guys see my screen now.
Yep.
Okay. Um, so we've had quite a bit of work on it in the last couple of weeks, which is great. Um, and
Yeah, Dan, before we get into page directly, just to inform in the group that I have officially we received a mail from Mark, right? So officially submitted our idea of submitting this white paper in our contribution category. So we are awaiting some kind of review from the peers. Then they would, according to the process, they would, say go ahead, and then we'll be able to officially upload the white paper once that's done. But I have already officially kicked off the white paper submission internally in the contribution section.
Have you already started that process?
Yeah, already started,
Okay.
and now it's in review process. So the OCP community or the data center facility, right? We are under DCF. They would look into it and they would give us a feedback. Yeah, but I have already kicked it off and also informed Mark and others internally that it has been submitted.
Okay, so what do you want to do right now, Shri?
Yeah, I mean, let us go through because that's internal process, but that's been done. That's for information. But let us go through the white paper, right? And yeah, we need to, as like Dan, we were mentioning last time, that we need to get some kinds of white paper ready by Jan, so that we can have a finished white paper by March. So and have this ready by our OCP event in EMEA in
Mm-hmm.
April. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you want to lead?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, please. You are sharing your screen, and then let us go through it as a group. No problem.
Yeah. Do you want to share your screen rather than me share mine?
It doesn't matter. You started there. Please go ahead. I can, yeah.
You say you do. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Okay. I said, I mean, you have started it, so please go ahead. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So modifications here to the stakeholders.
I'm doing one thing, which is I tried to request access. I don't. We're inputting comments, I think, but anyway, I don't think I've been able to access the document yet.
Let me have a quick look at this.
Josh, it's showing that these comments came from you.
Yeah, I've loaded a whole bunch of stuff in there. I think that the main changes in this section were Shrikant's. I've also noted before I was able to get full access that these proposed redline changes do not appear in the non-editable version. So some folks may not have even seen some of these edits yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this was Ben Gully that was saying that I was not able to get access yet.
Yeah.
You
Like
still
Ben,
haven't gotten
in your
access?
view, do you see these changes that are on the screen right now, Ben?
I don't think so. Let me scroll up to that part.
Or do you have like an older set of
So
copy?
Ben, let me ask you, you have to formally request access by joining the group. Did you in fact join the group?
In what capacity? I requested access through the document, and I've signed up as far as the group's IO page. Is there another place I should join? Is there what other place do I need to join or group?
That was a question that was asked earlier, and I pointed people to going back to the OCP site and joining this specific task group. And Josh, I think that's the process you followed, isn't it?
So what I contacted the membership desk and asked what type of membership I might need on the OCP site. There are, various corporate levels and a startup level. I chose an individual level, which doesn't associate me with a company because it's a free membership. So I did it through that process, and maybe that's how my email address then shows up as an active OCP member in the systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't if your SPOC company, Ben, is an OCP member already.
Yeah,
or
we
the
are.
same.
We're active in the power distribution side, and so we just came over this one, so we should be active.
Hey guys, this is Jim. So Josh, I gave you access as a commenter. Ben, I'll go in and give you access as a commenter, and if I get a warning or a notice that you're not notified, I will, or you're not a member of OCP for some reason. I'll just let you know.
Okay.
There's just a warning that comes up when I give access to folks
Yeah.
to this if they're not linked into the OCP system. So I'll go ahead and do that. I think I have your email. But then Josh, you're saying that with commenter access, you can't see these changes. Am I hearing that correctly?
With the commenter access that I have, I see all the red lines, but it wasn't
Okay,
until you gave me that
Yeah.
access, Jim, that
got
I
it.
could see
Okay,
Shrikant's proposed changes.
okay. And Ben, I think
Uh,
I have your email.
I just put it in the chat if that just to try
Got
to
it.
help.
Got
And
it.
thanks
Okay.
for that. I was trying to figure out if I could. I knew you were wanting to register people as commenters. I was trying to see if I could do that, and it just said request. So yeah, just let me know if
Yeah.
anything pops up. But I greatly
Okay.
appreciate that, Jim.
I'll take care of it. And if, like I said, if we need to square up with OCP, it's not mandatory, but they would like to make sure all the commenters and folks who have access to the document are signed up through OCP. It sounds like you've done that. So I'll square that up right now as we talk. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
yeah. Officially, Ben, it looks like you have already the permissions internally. So, but yeah, I'll leave it to Jim. Yeah.
No problem. I'll just check. I'll check right now.
Yep. Okay. So what I did, Dan, and for Jim also maybe, there were a couple of grammaticals, right? You suggested, and I okayed it. So I think what's open is our main tab, the main menu, what we had. So that's still in approval mode. So if you can go ahead and then, I don't want to like change myself and then edit myself and then correct myself. So if you can correct that, or the table of contents is still open. It's still showing in what to say, suggesting mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's the mode that I'm working in right now is I'm in suggestion mode. And the only time anybody goes into edit is once all of this stuff has been pretty much sorted out and we're happy with where we are.
yeah. So then, if we just clean up the table of content the first, right? So then we can get down to what maybe the others have suggested. Yeah, here it's still showing, suggestion mode. So somebody has to approve changes, whatever I did. If you go on that, and then it will showcase, then you have to tick the right, then it's saying it's approved, which I did for the others. If you go on to the text, number 3 example, like stakeholders and users, right? If you click on that, right? Yeah, yeah. Then you can see the right side. You have to okay in the right side, complete right side. Not there. Right side, complete all comments under the comment section. And the comment,
Under the
yeah,
comment section.
yeah, right. And you have to approve my request because I
Hold on a
edited it.
second.
I don't want to, I don't want to approve myself. I edit it and approve myself. That's weird. So I kept whatever I changed made. I
Yeah,
did not
no,
approve
that's
myself.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So if if there is no other change to be made in a table of content, then if you say yes, then it will be going to finalized mode.
Yeah, and probably if anything, Sri, once we accept these comments, the only time would be if they go through in their editorial process and decide to change something. That would
Yeah.
be the only time that changes.
Yeah. So if table of content is fine, then I would approve that. Then we'll move forward, right? Or if maybe Ben or Josh, if you see anything to be added in the table of content or topics maybe we missed out.
I may have made some suggestions to change the title around fire suppression and emergency and incident response, but the text is down in those sections. I'd have to go pull it.
This area here.
Yeah, I think I had suggested that we call it something like hazard mitigation analyses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I saw that
the
in your comments down there.
emergency response. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's leave this as is. We'll come back to this if once we decide how to word these things.
Okay.
And Shree, real quick before I forget about it, you changed, or did Mark change the title of the group to match the white paper?
I don't think the title has been changed, but if it's changed, Mark should have done it. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's much less confusing now. I noticed that right away. So okay. Yeah, this is where we get into the tenets of OCP, and explain what we're doing here. You guys, I'm trusting you have had a chance to read through all of this.
Can you just pause for a second there and just go back up a second, if you don't mind? Yeah, right. Yeah, right there. It's the sustainability that I want to just read briefly.
Yeah, sustainability was added as a tenet at last year's OCP summit.
That's fine. I like that.
Yeah, it's a general overview. Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so these are the stakeholders we're identifying.
Yeah. I think the main change, what I suggested was before it was only like one bullet points, and I put some description what the bullet point means, so there couldn't be any confusion.
And actually, these are the ones down here that had sort of been ignored. These up here had already been pretty well expressed, but these down here, it was kind of like small type.
Did you want to
That's
put in
good.
something about the? Did you want to put in something about the U.S. Department of Energy as a stakeholder, because they do have a very active energy storage, program.
What
I
was
don't
the
think there's
institute,
any.
John? Sorry,
It's the U.S.
again?
Department of. I'm sorry, it's the U.S. Department of Energy. Through several of their offices, most principally for this purpose, it'd be the Office of Electricity and the Energy Storage Division of that. Wouldn't say it's
Are they
mandatory.
kind of just short question about the institute? Are they kind of regulatory authorities or certification bodies?
Well, they pay for a lot of the R&D that goes into the development of storage technologies.
It's a government agency,
Right.
sort of
Very much
broadly.
so. Very much
Right.
so. Yes.
I was thinking
Yeah,
how
so-
can we group this, Sorry. Then, yeah, go ahead.
John, I think the trick to that is that if you think it needs to be in here, if you have commenter approval, then you go in here and add that before our next meeting, and we will discuss it at that point in time.
Okay.
This is not cast in stone, okay?
Yeah, no, I
And
appreciate
you
that.
don't have to get one of us to do it. This is why
Yeah.
you are
Okay.
authorized as a commenter.
Okay,
And
well,
then once we discuss it, then everybody approves of what we're writing there, sees the validity of it, then we go ahead and edit the document to include it. And then, it becomes part of the document at that point in time.
okay. The reason I mention this is that the Department of Energy isn't really as much aware of the OCP as I think they need to be. I've talked to them about the OCP, and they say, "Oh, we need to learn more about this." Well, here's a good opportunity to do that. And they're very sharp people at the Department of Energy, and I think they have a
And
lot of
which group
talent that
is
could be
this
helpful.
now?
It's the Office of Electricity under the they've just had a reorganization at the Department of Energy. The Office of Electricity now falls under the Undersecretary of Energy, and it's
DOE. Okay.
the Department of Energy. And
Sure.
the guy who runs the Energy Storage Office, Eric Shea, is a really sharp guy, and I like him very much. I've talked about OCP, and he just needs to get briefed up on this.
Yeah, I know
Well,
Eric
this
pretty
is-
well. He's a old battery guy. So he's still there, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So maybe this is Ben talking, I guess.
John.
Oh, sorry, John coming up as Ben. Yeah, John, love to kind of maybe we can talk offline and
Sure,
figure out how
absolutely.
we pull him in.
Mhm.
But if you want to make reference to DOE programs, I think as Dan said, go for it, right? If you can add
Okay.
that to the
Okay.
Yeah.
document.
So I think what I see as what is missing, that then they would come under external community stakeholders, and that would be like government bodies and R&D institute. We did not think about stakeholders. Maybe R&D and government bodies could be a general statement, and we put the US Department of Energy there, right? What do you guys think?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I'm less
Yeah.
interested in where it goes as it does go somewhere. Where exactly it goes, I'm not sure, but I can make a suggestion. But
Yeah.
Jim and I will
Yeah,
talk offline about this.
Yeah, one of the
I
things that we have sort of, it's not that we're ignoring them, but the thing that keeps getting left out of these documents for OCP and a lot of the OCP work is the AHJs. That community is virtually blind to what we're doing in OCP. And it seems like a lot of times when I look at what OCP is doing, OCP is blind to what the codes and standards require.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the purpose of this exercise, isn't it?
Yeah. I just
That-
put two
that's-
words there so that we don't forget it.
Yeah.
So, John, please go ahead
Okay.
and change it in the right and what do you think is right. I just put it
Okay.
a marker there that we don't forget this.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Yep. All right. So we'll continue. And we need to work through these pretty quickly and do most of the work offline because we only have an hour here every 2 weeks and we have a deadline that we have to make. So these are additional, these are influencers or excuse me, stakeholders.
Yep. Stakeholders.
And then these are the use case and deployment models that are currently being utilized.
Yeah. So I think here I put a question maybe for Josh, right? Interconnected utility DO or TO, for me it was a little bit confusing.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to make a distinction there is that some ESS are deployed in circuits that are, in backup only configurations, right? They don't have the electrical ability to backfeed power either back onto a bus bar or back into the grid. To do that, you're supposed to have an agreement with your grid utility, right? Whether that's a local company or whether in some countries it's, there are other types of organizations like a DO or a TO. There's a electrical study, an interconnection agreement, and then you operate under their permission when you're doing things like demand response or peak shaving or other grid interactive functions of the ESS. Just trying to make that distinction.
That's good. That's good. I think that's an important distinction to make also.
Yeah.
Does that help, Shrikant?
Yeah, I got what you mean. I want this abbreviation, the DO or TO, that I did not get. What do you mean by DO or TO?
That's just shorthand for distribution operator or transmission operator.
Okay.
Depending on the voltage that the site is connected at.
Yeah, maybe. But I think for general use, those need to be at least the first time they're used, you need to write it out and then parenthesize the abbreviation just so that we have clarity for, shall we say, a non-technical reader.
Yeah, I think I did that in the stakeholders section, and I put
In
them
the top, you
alongside
mean, right? In the
utilities. Yeah,
top, yeah,
and I expanded the initialism there.
yeah. Sorry. Okay, then it's clear. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to say though, I come from European, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm from Germany and we don't use that terminology.
you don't use
That's little bit.
the distribution operator in
No,
Germany.
it's kind of a different yeah, wordings there. So we
Okay,
don't
so
use the
what's
exact
the
wordings.
what would be a better term to cover the European
No, I
models?
think it's fine. Right now, we
Okay,
keep it as it is. And yeah, as we go, then because then it will be like,
is it
grammatical, not
DNO?
actually. Yeah, it's not actually adding any value. But I think I got to a point, and I think whatever the name clearly explains that, and I think we keep it as it is. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you're more in the stationary standby type applications rather than grid tied applications, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we've got our use cases, deployment models. And that looks pretty good to me. Then talk about ESS.
Yeah, here I
Yes.
have a question, Dan, and maybe also for others as well here. So there is two ways to go about explaining this, different kind of batteries. And what we have done is kind of text, like we put a lot of text and different paragraphs. We can do this, or we can do in kind of a table, which summarizes things. So I had like question like what would be the best way? Because regarding the standards, IEC, I put it in a table. And then I found out UL is in kind of text based with paragraphed with numbered. So it's two different approaches. So I think it's better that we stick on to one. So I would be interested to hear what you guys think, to have a table based overview of things, or we keep it as it is with text based.
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
see
John.
this, as, I see table stuff every now and then, and it really depends on who's writing it. And like I see here under the lead acid thing, I see the reference to thin plate pure lead. That's really more of a trade term for one of the manufacturers of lead acid batteries. And EnerSys uses that term, and I'm sure that ESPN would say, "Hey, wait a minute, we got our own thing that uses thin plate. We just call it differently." I don't know. I mean, I see what you're getting at, and
Yeah.
there's nothing dishonest about it. It's I'm just saying that when you start putting together tables and all that kind of stuff, you really need to be careful to make sure that that all people look on this thing as being legitimate. And
Okay.
so it needs to be thought through. But I'm not against it. I'm just saying be careful when you do something like that.
Okay.
Most of
Yeah.
my experience working in white papers, illustrations are more prevalent than tables. You have verbiage to describe, in this case, concepts, designs, technologies, and such as that. And you may have, and I think we have down here, no, we haven't included any graphics in this. Some people may insert things like charge or discharge tables, profiles, and things of that nature. All that's fine and dandy, but we're trying to remain fairly generic here
Yeah.
rather than pointing to any specific manufacturer or technology.
Because different batteries, I was going to say, different battery designs have different discharges, and they have different functions for depending on the different applications. It's really hard to generalize by saying a nickel zinc battery only lasts 4 hours, something like that. That's not true. And you can get a nickel zinc battery that'll last forever. And so I think just having kind of a general description of the chemistry and what it does is fine. You start getting into how good one chemistry is over another, then that gets really dangerous. I mean, I'm a big fan of nickel zinc. For example, you don't want to you don't want to over promote it to the expense of some other technology.
True.
Yeah, it can't be perceived as favoring one technology or another. It has to be level playing field. Otherwise, it's not a white paper. It's a merchandising piece. So,
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Maybe we remove the idea of efficiency out of the topic itself. So then, like what John was saying, we don't claim about efficiency. We just mention what it is, and that's it. We don't talk about how good it
Yeah.
is or bad it is or how very well used it is or something like that.
Yeah, I think that, well, I personally would like that approach. Just being, here are the features of the sodium ion. But I have to look at that sodium ion thing, because the last draft I saw didn't have anything on sodium ion. And I'd like to look at that again.
Yeah, I see that offering strong supply chain advantage over lithium. So already there is some text which could be,
Well, the
conflicting.
sodium ion guys are taking direct aim at lithium ion, which
Yeah.
I find really interesting.
Yeah, I think even in our main executive summary, Dan, I observed this. We are just stating lithium ion is commonly used, and we talk about lithium ion batteries a lot in our executive summary. And so maybe we need to tone down the
I
I
think
guess that's the step.
market share of lithium ion still exceeds 90%, if not in the high
True.
90s. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
extremely high.
true.
These other technologies are emerging and up and coming and gaining some market share. Nickel zinc among them, but it's still relatively tiny numbers compared to the volume of shipments of lithium ion.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then maybe I would suggest that if anybody sees this, my suggestion is to remove any efficiency or advantage over other text totally out of our white paper.
Yeah,
And then we'll
I would be comfortable with eliminating that kind of thing. Just stick with a description of what the science is of the different technologies.
chemical composition, or it has some
Right.
effect on safety.
Mhm.
So I think that should be more than
Yeah.
enough than
I mean, the
supply
sodium ion
chain.
guys, sodium ion guys would love to be listed as being more safe than lithium ion, and they'd stand up and cheer for something like that. The lithium ion guys would scream.
Yeah. I,
And
I don't think we would all agree on that anyway. So I think I put in something in the introductory paragraph that says something like no battery technology is inherently safe. Only trained personnel shall handle
I saw that.
ESS, and I think that
That's a
needs to
good.
be foundational to our message, right? Be careful with this stuff.
Anything that involves a chemical reaction has to be handled with care.
Yeah, totally. Josh, that was a great text. I said yes. When I read it,
Thank you,
I
Shane.
totally said yes. But I also see here a potential offer low cost and safer. Okay. Yeah, then we're talking about costs as well. So not sure. So maybe we remove the cost factor also out of the whole picture.
That gets into total cost of ownership, and how do you calculate that? Because the lead guys like to say, well, we're 99% recycled, and that has to be factored into the total cost of ownership. And some of the other technologies that aren't as recycled say, oh no, you don't need to do that.
Yeah. So then I believe we remove the entire efficiency, advanced supply chain advantages, and cost information, and stick to technical or science information.
Okay, guys, I'm going to jump on down because Josh has made a lot of commentary down here below, and I want to go ahead and get through on that. And I'm glad you added NFPA 70. That's a good one. I was reading through this. The only place that I really found anything, Josh, and I know I'm scrolling very quickly here. Most of this is just wording corrections or things of that nature. We got down here And best testing, this is covering 9540, 9548, such as that. CSA 825. So again, because we're having to go through this quickly, I really encourage everybody to read this thoroughly, read it a couple of times, and make sure that all of this makes sense to you. And that it's flowing in a logical progression through the paper. Okay. And I've read through most of this very carefully, and I don't see any real problems here, Josh.
Yeah, I think then more than problems, I think we are missing a lot of information. The more we get, I think would be better because the NFPA or the UL, I see there's a lot of contribution, but IEC, I see I have put some information, but there's a lot of still missing from IEC world standards and fire suppressions and according to different countries. It's a lot of missing, and our overall architecture and topology, it's still nothing has been done there. So yeah, if you guys have some background or information, overall topology or architecture, that would be really helpful to fill that up as well.
Okay.
So my recommendation on the fire suppression systems discussion is to definitely I agree with you, Shri. We should expand it to include EU standards and regulations, but also that each scenario is going to be unique. It really depends on what's in the room with the ESS and how
Sure.
the fire protection engineer assesses the hazards and works with the engineers to come up with mitigations, right? So I know there's a lot of interest in things like how clean agents or how water might be applied or interchanged or used in these particular scenarios, but I think that we could write 100 pages just on that, and it's an easy thing to
Absolutely.
just sort of run away with. And I know that we still have a lot of detail to add, but the page count is in the 40s, I think, so far. Do you have a target range for the end result in terms of page length that is consistent with other OCP papers, or?
That's a question that I really need to run by Mark because he has not given me any kind of a suggestion as far as page count is concerned. I know I've read some of the OCP papers that are lengthy. This particular paper, because of the subject matter and the context of it, I think will probably be one of more lengthy papers. And you guys know there is a ton of information regarding ESS that is not commonly known. And so what we're trying to do is to put that information in some sort of a cohesive package that can be presented and fortunately or unfortunately understood by a non-technical reader. So there is a lot to be contained here. It's going to be a long paper, and I know that already. But I think we need to get the information in there and then let OCP edit as they see fit to reduce the length of it if necessary, provided they can do it without completely gutting the paper.
Gotcha.
And what I was going to say here, Josh, the only thing I found in any of this stuff, and that's talking about both the fire suppression systems that you've got here, and in where is it down here in the HMA, and in both cases, there is a specific exclusion in 855-2026 for aqueous chemistries.
Right.
And I don't want to put that entire segment in each one of these. What I think we should do is just simply to insert a note that in clause XYZ, there's a notation that aqueous chemistries are excluded from this with certain provisions. And don't even go into the provisions. Give them the chapter and verse and let them go look it up.
No, I would agree with that. Is it aqueous or aqueous? I've always said aqueous.
Say again
Not
about the aqueous.
I think it's either one.
A potato,
So I think that's a yes.
potato situation, you know?
I'd recommend that be a yes and just because even though they have an exception in 855, we shouldn't infer that safety and hazard planning shouldn't be done. Aqueous
No.
alkaline batteries
That's not my intention.
can still and do have fires, right? So those particular sections might not apply, but they should still, for best practices, do something.
Right. And the trick is 855 gives specific exclusions.
Yep.
And also it gives the AHJ the authority to overrule it.
For sure.
In other words, leave it in, leave the aqueous thing in, but don't make too big a deal out of it. Just, have it there just so that we can say it's there. Because it is important.
All right. We got about 20 minutes left. Do you want to jump back up and look through some of that other previous stuff, or where do you think we should go?
Yeah. I think maybe we'll finalize the title. So here it's do we go with hazard mitigation analysis and emergency response planning, or we had something in the title. So I think we just choose one. So for me, this looks already fine. So what do you guys agree? Maybe we don't need to vote, but yeah, anything both explains clearly. So remaining text can be it can be added as anything else.
Yeah, and I think that there was a request to clarify that the exception on the aqueous chemistries in 11, right? In the intro.
Yeah.
I can add that real quick. Let's see.
Let me see. The one on fire control is in 9.7.2.2.
So I'm just putting the link for the white paper for Ben. Maybe Ben, you can give it a try now if you get an access.
Say again, Shree, I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking Ben if he can access. I just put the white paper link in the chat.
Yeah, I can see the
Yeah,
paper.
I just added
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just saying, I think there's Jim is helping me. We're email. I think I think maybe my OCP or that account is not set up right. So I'm talking to our guys. So I think it is on my side.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you talked about deployment topologies as being one of the gaps that you'd like to fill next. Is that right, Shrivansh?
Right, Josh. If you, in the beginning, we just mentioned it. If Dan, if we can go to the table of contents. Here, table of contents. See, we divided number 4, the ESS into architecture and topologies and chemistry, and ESS to chemistry and technology. And yeah, architecture, yeah, but we just mentioned some batteries information there. So there was some confusion when we began. We were talking about central UPS and central energy storage systems, and then came the question, what will happen to BBUs or sidecar, which is coming? So BBUs inside sidecar or in the rack.
Mhm.
Where would that be under this page? So then we decided that yeah, we would try to include all possible batteries, every what's possible. Then we plan to divide the two, and then we decided that we inform this that there are two ways we are going about it. One is the centralized UPS and centralized batteries, traditional way, and also possibility of BBUs and yeah, in sidecars and in racks indirectly. So, but we need to mention this in architecture and topologies, like how it would look like. So I believe that we have not added it here. And also chemistries and technology, as we said, yeah, it's right now much more commercial, some kind of semi-commercial text in the both of the sections. So I try to clean out the commercial aspect of it, but still nothing has been added here, especially that's, I think, kind of basic understanding for non-technical or non-users, that they have an idea of where this goes and how it looks like. Yeah, that's missing.
So are you talking about specifically adding something about sidecars and such as that here?
Yeah. The general architecture then, like where, that's my recommendation, like how the batteries or UPSs, where they are present, in the whole data center layout.
Some basic like block and line diagrams here, maybe
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. We are definitely not going into circuit board level of UPS
Nice.
where components are, but just for any operator, like if a stakeholder is an operator, just he has an idea that basic building blocks. So we can find batteries in the central possibility or in the BBU sections inside the white space near the racks. So he has an idea. There are two battery possibilities in backup kind of thing.
Yeah, at least two, right? So you have small rack level BBUs. You might
Right.
have larger units in the white space
Yeah.
that are like row-based UPSs and things like that. I understand are out there. The power room, larger UPSs, and now we're starting to see the centralized BESS, outside the walls, right? Outdoors.
So we have the text, but overall kind of architecture or topology in boxes.
Yeah.
I think that would really be helpful for a newbie or someone from outside coming in and looking at it.
I can take a crack at doing one of those as a first concept, and then maybe we can just check in with each other and see if we want to do others.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Actually, I'm sitting here thinking that potentially a very simple one line of each of these would be instructive. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that if we could incorporate it very simply, not something extensive or and it doesn't have to be a high grade drawing or anything like that, just a relatively clear and simple one line of what we're talking about would be a helpful illustration of these.
Yep. Like what I think Josh mentioned, maybe as small boxes and just a text what it is.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
Yeah, I'll take a crack at
right
something and share it with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really good.
One more thing, maybe Dan and others wanted to ask from IEC perspective. I found out there is a checklist in IEC perspective. Would it be, I don't know how does it in UL work. Would that make sense to have incorporate some kind of the checklist here, or maybe we go through the checklist next time, then see what we can absorb out of that.
I personally have no problem with looking at it. It's up, guys, I don't own this paper. Sheree doesn't own the paper and Jim doesn't own the paper. It's our paper. So you guys need to express your opinions on this. Don't just make it what Dan thinks, okay? Because that's not the concept of this paper.
No, it's for everyone, of course. Yeah, I think let me pull it up. So I think if when everyone sees it, then I think it will have a bigger picture. So that also comes down to concern when we are absorbing some of text and ideas, then hopefully we don't cross over in the IP or copyright problem with the IEC world or the papers where we are absorbing. Maybe that we need to clear with Mark as well. Yeah.
Okay, we've only got a few minutes left. Anybody have anything in particular they want to focus on for a couple of minutes?
When's our next meeting?
Anybody? You got anything you want to focus on?
Yeah, I think we got asked question then on when is our next meeting. Just
Was that Sheree? I'm sorry.
Yeah, when is our next meeting?
Next week? Is it 17th?
Let me see.
No.
I think
I'm
it's
sorry,
actually the
guys. I'm having a
24th.
terrible
I think
time hearing.
it's actually the 24th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
24th. Yeah.
Okay, copy.
Bad time, Christmas. Okay, yeah, 24th.
Say again?
Our next meeting, Dan.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yeah. Should we do on 24th or postpone it to Jan?
It's okay to do on the 24th.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to get this tightened up in January, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We should keep cranking at it.
Yeah. That's one. And also in between, please, I would suggest for everyone, maybe please go ahead and please add text and yeah, and let's move forward. I will be looking at the white pages in every day for some time, and then yeah, I would approve or yeah, add some information from my side, and yeah, we can make it really active.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. I think
All
this
right.
is coming along. I think this is coming along very well.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think Dan, Srikanth, maybe we should three of us should put a calendar entry for the three of us next week. And as the facilitators of this, maybe we can go through this paper and kind of accept what we think is good to go, and then really for the next meeting highlight the open areas, right? Not that I want to close down any additional comments, not at all, or additions to the paper. But it feels like we're at the point now we can start maybe locking in some of the text to get to a final version for final review. So, Srikanth, if that's okay with you, and
Sure,
and
definitely. Yeah.
let's put that on the calendar. We're probably going to need 90 minutes, and three of us can go through and one of us can assume the role of editor. Because I think once we're at that point, we kind of open it up for final kind of comments and then it's more grammatical check. I think we're getting to that point, which is great.
And then Jim, did you want to get with me to talk about DOE?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Can
please.
you shoot me? I think do I have I must have your email here, right?
I put it in the chat. I put it in the
Okay.
chat.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a note.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta run. Okay, thanks, guys.
That's great. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you guys.
So guys,
I
real quick, I'm going to be traveling Monday through Wednesday of next week. Jim, why don't you and Sri and myself try to get together Thursday or Friday of next week to do that recap? So if everybody will try to do any edits, any suggestions that they want to put in here by Wednesday of next week, that will give us a pretty good line to work from to go ahead and start doing the accepting of all of the comments. And we can move forward with the paper pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Sri Kanth, you're in Germany next week, I suppose, or Europe?
Yeah, I'm always in Germany.
Okay.
So I'll send the invite. I'll send the invite, but I have to check with your time zones.
I'm on the West Coast. Dan's on the East Coast. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, if you can do like 3 or 4 o'clock PM German time, EU time, that'd be good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'll send the invite. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
guys
I
have a good
appreciate it.
evening.
Thank you, guys.
Sure thing,
Have a
guys.
good weekend. All right.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Bye.